This is Ben Renick from Renick Reptiles, and you're listening to Herp Herp Hooray.
It says here we should work in teams. I tend to think of myself as a one-man wolf pack.
You are about to enter Information Overload, a worldwide transmission with Herp Herp Hooray's featured Breeder of the Week. Here's your host, Jason Rossi.
What's up, world? Welcome back to H3. I'm your host, Jason Rossi. We're streaming live on RossiReptiles.com and, as always, on iTunes. This week's featured Breeder of the Week is here and has a few projects that shows that if you dink, it pays off. Ben Renick from Renick Reptiles is here. Ben, welcome to Herp Herp Hooray.
It's great to be here.
Awesome. So why don't you tell our listeners about the orange gene you have there you're working with? It seems to do some amazing things with the animals.
Yeah, definitely. It's a gene I just kind of randomly stumbled upon a few years ago. It just kind of randomly popped out of just a cat-to-patch female I got in. And basically, everything popped out extremely orange. The original pairings, I think, it came from a black pastel pinstripe to one of the original orange animals. And I got, black pastel pinstripes, the orange black pastel pinstripes, and then, oranges and pinstripes and all that other stuff. And what it really does is it really just cleans everything up. And I've noticed in some of the projects, it really seems to reduce a lot of the pattern as well, so it doesn't just, add in the orange, but it actually reduces a lot. And I talked to Oz about it, and it's definitely not the same thing as an Orange Dream, because it definitely doesn't do quite the intensity that the Orange Dream does. But, it's definitely something that just kind of, I guess you could call like an enhancer gene. So something that just brings in more color and reduces the pattern up a little bit. And I did go for supers this year. I believe I got supers, but with the pairing that I did, it was one of those, ridiculous pairings. So it was anywhere up to, I think, 7 or 8 genes. So I wasn't really sure if I actually got supers or not, or if it's just the really, really intense oranges. But I also decided I was going to change the name of it, which I started calling it the Sahara ball python because it kind of changes everything into like a sandy yellow after you get so many genes into it. But I've recently just learned there is another ball python called the Sahara ball python, so now we're kind of going back and forth on if we should change the name again or not.
Yeah, it's a good name. If you come up with another one like that, I wouldn't see a problem with changing it, but, the orange works. So,
It does. The only thing, since there already is an Orange Dream, we didn't want it to be confused at all, just because they don't really do the same thing. So there's I don't want there to be just an orange and an Orange Dream and stuff like that. So I was like, I want to change the name completely just so I can make sure no one gets confused on it. And apparently I picked a name that's already been taken, so it doesn't really help much if you keep doing that.
Well, I was reading on your blog there, and it says that people are trying to use your name in a scam, man. What's going on with that?
Oh, that happens a few times for me a year. I don't know. It's just some people, I guess, desperate. They try to sell hets saying I sold them to them and all sorts of different stuff. And I can definitely say, if you're going to try to sell hets under my name, you should at least get the projects that I'm actually involved in, because that really helps, But, yeah, I had a customer call me up one day saying he bought, a group of double head albino clowns. And I haven't actually produced any 100% double head albino clowns at the point that he called me. And so I was like, who sold them to you and all this other stuff. And apparently some guy he took a ton of snakes in trade and sold this guy just 2 normal ball pythons, saying I sold them to him as double head albino clowns. And you gotta have paperwork to be able to pull something like that off with me, because everything that you get from me is going to have paperwork with it. So it's just one of those things that I wish I could stop it and I wish I could control it happening, but, you know, some people just get desperate, I guess.
People, take your time, search out the people, contact them. You know, it's not that big of a rush where you need them that day. You know, you take your time to think about it. But that calico queen bee, man, getting into the pairings you got to the pewter blast, what was the outcome of that?
There was all sorts of stuff, actually. The calico queen bee actually has a little bit more to it that I've discovered. Over the last year, I've kind of been pulling stuff out of that one animal, and I've been backtracking where all the parents' lineage came from, and there's definitely something else in that original calico queen bee male. And as of right now, I've just been labeling it, you know, just a plus sign, just because it's an addition to that gene. I haven't put an actual name on it yet. But basically what that does is it condenses all the patterns. And the calico queen bee to the pewter blast clutch, I got, you know what, I can just look at it right now. You know, there's kind of the basic stuff that you get out of clutches like that. It looks like there's a super blast with the extra gene in it, killer queen spin that's possibly a calico, and most of the other stuff has that extra gene in it as well. But the only thing with clutches like that, you typically can't always tell exactly what you have until they shed out a couple times, because certain genes, just like the calico gene, for instance, and just certain combos, it's really hard to tell whenever they just hatch out, because everything just hatches out solid white, and you can see like the faint pattern inside the snake and everything like that. But, you know, a couple of sheds down the line, every single combo like that starts to actually develop more color, and it becomes a lot easier to see exactly what's inside every single snake.
Awesome. Because it's kind of hard to tell that calico in there sometimes, isn't it?
It is. I mean, certain things are more obvious than others. I hatched out like a calico spinner blast this year, and that thing is just phenomenal. I mean, it's got like a yellow stripe down the back, and the white just creeps all the way up to the top of that yellow. But in certain things like queen spins and queen bees and stuff like that, it doesn't really seem, you know, I mean, it probably varies with the low whites and high whites and stuff like that too, but, you know, it's a lot easier to tell after they shed out a couple times, because then that white really starts to pop, and then a lot of the other colors start to come in on the back.
Definitely a powerhouse gene to have in your collection.
Oh, yeah, for sure. That's probably one of my favorite genes to have.
So why don't you tell us about that pastel puzzle to pied? So did you get a bunch of pastel double het puzzles, pieds?
I didn't. She retained sperm, so I did not get anything out of that other than I got pinstripe het pieds. She retained sperm from a pinstripe het pied to the pied, and I got pinstripes and pieds. I didn't get any pinstripe pieds, but I got both of those. And so I didn't get any pastel puzzle or pastel double het puzzle pied, and that completely kills it. I got into the puzzle project earlier, I guess it was last year, and the male actually, he bred 4 or 5 females, and I opened his hub one day, and he was just belly up, and I mean, he ate the week before that and everything like that, and he just passed, and so from that point, I'm like just hoping so much that I was going to get females. And the first pastel puzzle clutch I hatched out was a pastel puzzle to a spot nose, and I got 7 males and not a single female in the clutch. And from that point, none of the other females have taken. One of the females that I bred into this year was that pied, and I bred a pinstripe het pied to her earlier, and the pinstripe took. So I ended up getting 1 egg out of another one of that pastel puzzle clutches. And I got a spot nose het puzzle, and that's my only female from that entire project. So I am holding on to it for dear life and hoping I really do well on odds later.
Yeah, she's not going anywhere.
No, she's like a little safe in my racks.
So why don't you tell us about the Huffman gene? What's going on there with that?
You know, I've actually been learning a lot about that over the last couple months as well. And honestly, I've been looking through a ton of stuff on a couple different things. And as of recently, I looked more into the black razor. which that was produced, I guess, a season or two ago. And it came from E&G's line of black pastel.